This is the law of extinction, the fall of existence. Before time was measured, before stars burned in the void, there existed a presence. Not life, not death, something entirely else. Kaharak, a name whispered by dying stars, a thing not born, but simply was. The venom that dripped into the well of reality before creation even took its first breath. He was not a being. He was an error. A malformed concept that should never have been. Not chaos, but the rot beneath it. His existence poisoned the chronology of this multiverse. Entire timelines blinked out of existence simply from his awareness of them. He didn't destroy, he unwrote. To contain him, ancient entities whose names are long since been devoured, they casted Kaharak into the rift between realms, a place that isn't, a dimension without time, where laws of physics are just fiction, and thought is torment. They bound him with the 7 chains, anchors forged from these axioms of existence. Cause, effect, mass, light, entropy, memory, and will. Each chain had a keeper. Each keeper swore to silence, buried in civilizations long gone. But eternity has no locks, only delays. The chains did not break all at once. One snapped with the fall of the first intelligent race, their minds shattered by the whispers of something beyond the veil. Another dissolved when humanity opened a door that they were never meant to find. A signal broadcast from deep space that wasn't sent by anything living. And the last chain... the last chain broke within. The final keeper was a human, and the keeper forgot. In the moment of madness, of grief, of loss, they let go. Kaharak returned, not as a god, but as entropy incarnate. He did not rise from a place. He simply was, everywhere and nowhere. Oceans turned to screams, mountains wept in blood. Reality became inconsistent. Time would fast forward or rewind at random. People lived entire lives in seconds or stood frozen for years. Aware, conscious, unable to die. 99% of life did not die. It was unmade. It never existed. History itself began to bleed. Records conflicting, fossils vanishing, stars flickering in and out of being. And that's surviving 1%? Accidents. Leftovers. Glitches in the deletion process, if you will. You, as the listener, are one of them. You do not remember your name. You remember cities that were never built, people you never met, gods no longer worshipped. And in your dreams, you see him, not as a figure, as a presence. Static, pressure, a silence that screams. You're not a survivor, you're a witness. Buried deep beneath the earth, beneath layers of abandoned tech and twisted metal, is a black vault with no door, no seams. Inside lies a recording, a log, one last message, and it's corrupted, warped. But one phrase remains very clear. We didn't contain it. We enabled it. And beneath that message is a symbol, the mark of Kaharak. 7 interlocking spirals, turning inward forever. And that means only one thing. This was always going to happen. They tried everything. cross-dimensional countermeasures, temporal failsafes, reality stabilization anchors, sacrificing entire timelines, but none of it mattered. It never did. Kaharak didn't just exist outside of laws, he unmade the laws themselves. The Omega Protocol was the final act, a plan written in theoretical blood, designed to erase all of reality in a controlled implosion. And if we couldn't live, we wouldn't let him feed. But even that failed, because you can't delete what was never written. Those who didn't vanish outright splintered into cults, warbands, data ghosts, each clinging to fragments of lost meaning. Some worshipped him, believing that extinction was the only path to peace. Others still fight in the shadows, broadcasting desperate warnings into a universe that no longer listens. Here's the thing no one wants to admit. Kaharak isn't a villain. He is the conclusion. He is the entropy equation fulfilled. The mathematical certainty that everything must eventually end. Not because of hatred, not because of power, but because existence was a temporary deviation and a spark in the abyss, and he is simply the void snapping back into place. And you know what's worse than fear? Certainty. The knowledge that the universe was always meant to unravel, the creation was an error, that we were the anomaly. And now, the system is correcting itself. And far beyond what remains of Earth, in the dark space between galaxies, float these archives, which are ruins of an ancient race who foresaw Kaharak's return long before our species emerged. And they tried to warn us, encoding the prophecy in starlight, in music, in dreams. We thought they were myths, frequencies, aberrant signals, but we called it noise, and they called it the final signal. The archives tell of other realms, mirror universes, alternate dimensions, where life survived for longer, but the result was always the same. Kaharak cannot be destroyed, because he is not a being. He is a cosmic principle. And so, we return to you, the listener, the last flicker of a thought in a dying simulation. Are you real, or are you an echo? A backup thought in a corrupted system, watching the last few corrupted frames of the universe play out in loops? You don't know. You can't know, because memory is decaying and language is falling apart. You speak words, but their meanings slip away the moment they're said. And in the static between thoughts, he waits. Not because he hates you, not because you matter, but because you are a final page in a book that should never have been written.